Hello, everyone. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Mike Hodges, and I work for Realty One. I'm reaching out to you all because I had a few friends over the past few years that have bought new construction homes, the new builds, and they bought them without a realtor. So I'm going to tell you their stories, and then I'm going to give you a few reasons why it might not be such a good idea. So I'm going to start with story number one. A friend of mine calls me up and he says, "Hey Mike, I've got a couple questions for you. You got a minute?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So he asked me to read his contract for him. He's dealing with some inspection issues, and I start looking at his contract and realize that his inspection period has ran out. So I'm just like, man, why didn't you call me before? Didn't anybody explain this to you? I mean, he waited too long. This is all time sensitive stuff, and his time ran out. So it's like, if you would have had a realtor, this wouldn't have happened to you. I'm going to move on to story number two. A friend of mine, I guess he'd been living in this house for a few months already. He bought a new build, and he calls me up and said, "Hey, do you mind taking a look and seeing if my house has increased in value?" And I said, "Yeah, why don't you have your realtor do that for you?" And he's just like, "Well, I didn't have a realtor." I was like, "Well, okay." So anyways, I looked at it and realized that one of his neighbors had paid a little less for the house, same house that he did. He wasn't too happy about that. And I told him, it's like, well, why would you ever let an agent for the builder negotiate a deal on your behalf? It's just not smart. And he says, well, she was so smart. She was so nice and everything. I said, yeah, that's her job. But you have to understand, that lady worked for the builder. She was an agent for the builder. So I just want you guys to understand that that's the position they are. And for my final story, I have a good friend and bandmate, and I find out just a few months ago that he was actually in the process of building a new build. And I was like, why didn't you call me? You know, I'm a realtor. I knew he didn't have an agent either because I asked him. And he said, well, I thought you were too busy. I was just like, my gosh, is that really what you think? I'm too busy for you? Guys, I'm not too busy for anyone. If you guys pick up a phone and call me, I normally answer the phone. I mean, if I don't because I'm busy at that moment, I mean, if you leave a message, I'll call you back. But there's like text messaging, and there's emails, and there's Facebook Messenger. There's so many different ways you can get a hold of people these days. So I'm just like, I really hope that that's not what I'm putting out there, is that I'm too busy for you guys, because I'm not. I'm not too busy for anyone. If any of you guys have questions or you need somebody, call me or contact me somehow. Most of these stories are similar in a way. I asked a couple of them why they would go buy a new build without a realtor, and their answer didn't really surprise me. In fact, it seems to be a popular belief, but they told me that they thought that they could get a better deal on their new home if they didn't have to pay a realtor's commission. And I just was like, oh man, that's some misinformed friends there. And it could be my fault. I know all these people follow me on Facebook, at least the three friends that I know do. And if I had done something like this a little earlier, maybe I could have stopped them from making a big mistake. But I'm here to remedy that right now. I want to make sure that no more of my friends make the same mistake they did. There's a few things that you need to know before going out and buying a new build. First, I want to squash the belief that you are somehow paying the realtor's commission, or that it's getting tacked on to your sales cost of your home. First off, you're not paying the commission, the builder is. And secondly, it comes out of the builder's marketing budget. It doesn't come out of the sale of the house. So trying to negotiate a better deal for yourself under those pretenses is just pointless. Do you think that these guys would make incentives for better deals for people who would cut out their realtors? I mean, why would the realtors bring people over to see their houses if they were going to get cut out of the equation? It just doesn't make sense. So I want to squash that. It's coming out of the marketing budget for that builder. They all have them. Another thing I wanted to kind of explain to you is Don't you think that if the builder could get out of paying more money and actually have their paid professional there running the show and getting the most money that they can for the builder from you, that's what they're going to do? That's exactly what they're doing. And I would do it. I mean, if that was me, that's how I would try and run things. So let's get this straight. The agent on site works for the builder. They are an agent for the builder. So now that you know this, I think we could agree that it is in your best interest to have your own realtor there in your corner that has your back. I mean, their fiduciary duty is to you, not the builder. I mean, they're there to make sure that you get the best deal possible, the least amount of hassles. They can negotiate more for you. They can negotiate a better deal, a price on the house. They can negotiate for more upgrades worth thousands. I mean, they can lead you to different lenders instead of using what they have there for you. I mean, all this could save you thousands. So I'll ask you again, why wouldn't you have your own realtor? I mean, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't cost you a penny. Now knowing this, it brings me to the second thing I wanted to talk to you about. That's picking a real estate agent. Okay, when you go to pick an agent, you need to pick someone that you feel is best going to represent you. You need to pick someone that you trust, someone that is knowledgeable, someone that brings value to you. And you don't want to pick a buddy just because, say like you have a buddy that just got his license. It might not be too smart. Well, you say, well, my buddy said he's going to cut his commission. Well, now I've got two things to say to you about that. One, you're not paying the commission. The builder is. The builder's paying that commission. And the second thing, if your buddy's going to discount his rate to you, you're probably going to get a discounted service as well. If they're new, they might make a mistake, or maybe their negotiating skills aren't great. So it ends up costing you more money in the end just to save the little bit of money that he's going to save you on the commission. I mean, new people, I know they mean well, but sometimes it could do more harm than good. Listen up, friends. And this applies to everything real estate, not just new builds. And I mean this. If you decide that you need a realtor to represent you, or maybe you just have some questions, or you're going through a new build or anything like that, and that someone's not me, no big deal. The only thing I'm going to stress is that you do call a licensed professional. Don't rely on that family member or a friend that thinks they know everything about real estate because they just bought a house, because that one little bit of bad information that they give you, it could cost you a lot of extra time and a lot of extra money and a lot of frustration. And I'm serious. So choose wisely. So the final thing I wanted to talk to you about, number 3, is you decide you're going to get a realtor and you want to go look at home builds. Well, you need to have them there with you on the first day. And so you need to call your realtor and have them go with you. Most likely your realtor knows where all these home builds are at anyways, and knowing your situation, they could probably lead you to the ones that are going to best suit your needs anyways. But the important thing to know is this: if they do not sign you in on the first day, the builder will refuse to pay a commission to your realtor. And I don't know about you, but I don't know anybody that's going to work for free. So just make sure you call them before, and that way you're represented and your best interests are taken care of, and there's no hassles with the builder. So there you have it. I figured that instead of letting other friends of mine make some of the same mistakes that these other friends did, that I would arm you all with knowledge. I mean, knowledge is the key to making good decisions, right? So I figure I'm going to start making some more of these videos with information, like I'll put on the end of this. You'll see some literature that you can read. And my hopes are that it will aid you in your decision-making process. I'm going to do it on a regular basis, and my hopes is that it brings value to you and your family. So once again, I thank you for watching from my heart, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Look forward to hearing from you. Bye.